Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Progress, hosted by me, Mark Joe Szymanski. Today, joining us virtually from the great state of Wisconsin. I actually think it's our second guest from Wisconsin. It's crazy how everybody's from the same place, seems like. But we have CT Kaupp. What's up, man? How you been?
Good, man. How you doing?
Real good, real good, real good. I appreciate you joining me today. I know that the first thing we kind of wanted to hit on here, just right out of the gate, because I think it is really important to touch on, is just like the context of kind of how we got connected. Because I'm starting to realize, much like yourself probably, that when you start putting good things out into the world, whether it be in, we'll talk about web design or just entrepreneurship or anything like that, your thoughts, things like that, and you start going out on LinkedIn and YouTube and all this stuff, and you put value out in the world, you see that a lot of times the consequence of that is people very similar to you in a lot of different ways start to reach out to you. And specifically, I put up like a video just talking about a bank account, like an online bank account. You reached out to me, hit me up on LinkedIn, and we've established what I would say a really good relationship in a short amount of time. One of those things where it's like, I feel like I've known you for a longer amount of time just because we're so similar in a lot of ways. So I just think that's really cool. And I appreciate you hitting me up and checking out the content. And again, like, I just hope that we continue this relationship and everything like that. But I'm excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And just to hit on that too. So basically, I watched some of your YouTube videos and just felt a really good vibe. Just felt like just somebody that I could hang out with,
Yeah.
just laid back, genuine, authentic. Well, it was what was coming to me.
Yep.
And yeah, I was searching on this business bank account stuff, and that was how it started. And I said, hey, I'm just going to reach out to him on LinkedIn. Threw out a request, a nice little note in there,
Yeah.
personalizing it, no spam, no garbage.
Yeah.
And I think we started talking that night, and then we jumped on Zoom the next day. So
Yep.
that's how it works in 2021.
That's it, man. I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate it. And it's not even just about like our connection. It's just a broader thing. Anybody out there listening, anybody that wants to put good out into the world, and just, again, genuineness, authenticity, you're going to make connections. I talk to a lot of young people and they're like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Just start talking, just start talking, be genuine, authentic, and people, that'll resonate with people. And then you'll make connections and, maybe you'll have a big network at one to one or something like that. But again, I just think that's a really important thing. I like to emphasize that a lot with all the new people that I bring on the show and I meet, because I think it's important. But more importantly, everything that you got going on, man, you got a ton going on. I'm just going to kick it over to you and let you introduce like some of the things that you got going on, and then we'll dive into some of the deeper stuff.
Yeah, so I started my own web design and marketing business back in 2012, or actually, I said, no, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I started working for my dad's advertising agency in 2012. So I was there for 5 years, built up experience doing all sorts of web stuff, and always knew I liked the design angle and was always in my head working myself towards that. Then about the last year before I went on my own, I started freelancing on the side and was having more fun from 6 to midnight than 8 to 5.
Yeah.
I say I felt like I was a athlete that needed to retire. Like they just lost that fire, and that's how I felt going in 8 to 5. Like I was just dragging, and it wasn't fun to me anymore. The 6 to midnight. I remember talking to a lady in LA stuck in traffic, 8 o'clock at night by me, and talking about her website, and it was like, that's amazing. I want to do more of that. I don't need to be, in the same geographic area as, I've built websites for people all over the world, and literally some I've never even talked to. We've just messaged back and forth, in like a chat, figuring out what they need and what they want and getting it to work. So it's just realizing that there's more to it than just what's confined in these walls. And that was kind of where it all started.
Definitely, man. Yeah. And yeah, when we talked initially, that was something that just resonated with me because, I'm kind of in a similar type of thing, doing a couple, different projects on the side, but like web development specifically, it's such a skill that I feel like maybe I'm a little biased because I'm into it as well. And, maybe you think the same way. It's like, it's such a skill that is really important. Like if you're a business owner and you can kind of do it for yourself a little bit, I think it's vital, just because there's so many tools out there. But at the same time though, when you have somebody like yourself that like specializes in it for specific niches and specific, tool sets and things like that, it's extremely vital. Like you got to have somebody in your corner that knows, okay, because there's so much to it. Like there's not just how to build it, but like, hosting, domain names, security. Like we had that call the other day the day after we first talked, and we're kind of going over our tech stacks and things like that. And there's just so much to it. It's one of those things where it's like, it's good to know, like as a business owner in some random niche, it's good to know enough to get yourself in trouble, but you got to have somebody in your corner that just does it like almost all the time.
Yeah, I always say that the 2 years or less, probably not the right fit, because they're trying to bootstrap it. And like,
Hmm.
if you know how to do it, that's great. But
Right.
then that's not really the right fit for where I am looking. To me, it's really, let's build that website or redesign that website and then get it to show up in Google where it needs to be. So
Hmm.
usually if they're 1, 2, 3 years in, they may not have the funds or the cash flow or the ability to invest in their online presence the
Right.
way that needs to be if they really want to dominate their particular service area. That's how I look at it, and that's kind of what I have come to in the almost 4 years here that I've had my own business. It's interesting to see the different niches, the different areas that I have targeted, different people I've worked with, different industries, and then it actually ends up coming full circle to what I did at my dad's agency, which was a lot of HVAC and plumbers. So I've specifically niched my business to home services and contractors. And for a while, I pushed that away because I was like, that's dad's thing. I want to do my own thing.
Right.
And now it's coming back, I believe, because there's so much comfort and familiarity with it. And I can do it in the back. I know like the back of my hand. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. I'm not learning a specifically new industry every single time I'm building a website. It's relatively the same, and I know how to make it work, how to make it work and how not to make it work, and get it done right the first time. And so, really honing in on that, recently niched in that space. So I'm excited to see where that goes in the months and years to come.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. And so as that being like the kind of top level for that, and we can dive in a little bit deeper. But you mentioned it a couple of times already, and I know we want to talk about this. So you mentioned your dad's agency, and when we initially connected, I went over to your website, and everything will be in the description here too. So viewers at home, links in the description. Make sure you check out everything CT has going on. But I went over to your website and I was looking at it, very robust, a lot of different stuff going on. You're obviously a busy man. We'll touch on all of it. But the one thing that really struck me was you have a page on there. I think it's called My Why. So, just MY and then WHY, if anybody like my why, like the reason that you do the things that you do and like your story and everything like that. And, you don't have to go again, like super in the weeds with everything. Cause like people can go over and check it. And we should definitely, everybody definitely should, cause it's a great story. But I think that it's particularly like really inspiring kind of what you've done so far and like the backstory, not just like the actual things that you've done, but the reason for a lot of that. So if you want to touch on that, I think a lot of people could get some value out of that.
Sure. So the summer of 2016, my dad was diagnosed with a brain tumor and passed away 62 days later.
Mhm.
That 2016, that year, I'd say more so as the summer wore on, we just noticed that he wasn't really acting himself,
Mhm.
more lethargic, agitated or stressed, hard to remember things. Different. You could say warning signs, but like just I guess symptoms that like wasn't really adding up to anything, but just different than typical how we would act. And yeah, that whole experience obviously shifts the landscape of your life at 20. Don't quote me. I think I was 27,
Mhm.
28. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
been so long now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it all blends together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but going through that, it was just like I believe strongly that everything happens for a reason,
Mhm.
and that was kind of the my mantra throughout. God needed him more in heaven than we needed him on earth, and so it's just taking what I learned from him, mirroring it with what I'm doing, and then creating something hopefully pretty awesome, and to be able to have some awesome clients to work with as well. But it's like he taught me, how to basically he taught me everything about business. I didn't know jack. I
Yeah.
didn't go to school for business. I had no thought of being an entrepreneur until I was probably 25 or 26, whatever that was, a year before I left. And even at that time too, like when he passed, it was, hey, I'll just be freelance web guy. But then 6 months after he passed is when I started the business, and it was like, no, I need to treat this like a real business. And it's much more than just picking up ad hoc jobs
Mm-hmm.
here and there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think in our first call, you mentioned that you felt that he kind of like transferred his entrepreneurial spirit over to you, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. It's a powerful story, man. And I know he's proud of you. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you recounting that for us and everything. Cause, I believe that strongly too, man. I think everything happens for a reason. And when you kind of just like, take a step back and you put yourself in that frame of mind, it makes a lot of the worry go away because, you're just doing the things that you love and the things that you enjoy and doing the best that you can. And you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. Obviously there's going to be tough times in people's lives and tragic events and, things are going to be like, oh, why did that happen? But if you just kind of default to that, I do think there's a lot of comfort and a lot of, it's just in a crazy world, I think that's a good mindset to have. So
Yeah, I think it's all the reframing.
yeah,
There's got to be some terminology for it from the
yeah,
psychology angle
yeah,
that I don't know, but
yeah,
just the reframing is big, and it's you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. It's that same sort of thing.
definitely feel that, man. Well, you're definitely doing great here, and you're moving forward with all this stuff. So maybe we should dive into some of the things that you have going on again, like going back to web dev, but also you've got a podcast, you've got your own personal brand that you're kind of working on. I know that I have some questions specifically about kind of how you're doing everything, but maybe we should get everything out on the table first. So you have the website development business, and then you also have a podcast. And then do you kind of like focus on your personal brand as well, or you kind of just blend it all together? Cause like we've had a little bit of discussion about this, but what's your kind of like angle on that as far as branding and all, and like, now into the future with some of that stuff?
I would say it's all blended together at a very top level. Website design business, I talk about it in two different phases. Phase one, I create the website or design the website, however you want to say that,
Mm-hmm,
and then manage it ongoing for my clients. So
mm-hmm,
I handle everything from hosting, security, support, a bunch of different monitoring I have set up, like making sure my clients' forms that are submitted on their website are actually being delivered to them.
mm-hmm,
And my dad's agency, we probably my worst day there. We had a issue with the contact forms and realized that for 2 months a client wasn't getting their forms. So that wasn't pretty.
mm-hmm.
Out of that, then was born, okay, how can we monitor and track that? So that's something that's like super underrated. Nobody really thinks about until you go X amount of months and don't get your form, aren't getting any of your submissions in,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's a big issue. So just really trying to be as proactive as possible for my clients. So again, like phase one, create the website. Phase two, manage and ongoing, and then the podcast is, I guess, an extension of the business, extension of the brand, however you want to phrase that. To
Mm-hmm.
me, it's all about just being genuine and authentic. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a vibe to the coast. If this is on video, you'll see there's waves right
Mm-hmm.
behind me here.
Yep.
I know I'm going to end up there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel a calling to the water. There's nothing more peaceful and
Mm-hmm.
calming to me. And so this podcast was my way to marry that
Mm-hmm.
with my love of entrepreneurship. Just like when we talked a couple of weeks back after we first met, I mean, we could have talked all day and we wouldn't have known the sun went up or the sun went down. And that's what I've always felt, even very early on, starting my own business. I love talking to real entrepreneurs, not, somebody doing some MLM thing. And that's fine if that works, but like
Yeah, yeah,
that's not what entrepreneurship is to me. So
yeah,
somebody that's really doing their own thing, and I don't care what it is, whether it's stuff like you're doing a lot of media things
yeah,
or your own cleaning business. It doesn't matter to me.
yeah.
It's just the fact of like we all want to do our own thing. We want to be our own bosses, have our own schedules. And like the why as to why you're doing it or what you want to get out of it can be completely different, but
Mm-hmm.
yet there's still some similarities in our mindset. So I enjoy talking to that type of people. And so it's my way, like I said, to marry the coastal vibes with the entrepreneurship vibes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I don't know if you said in there, your podcast is Business in Boardshorts, right?
Correct. Yeah. I
Yeah.
probably should have said that. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Like I said, everything's gonna be in the description for everybody just to go through, and it'll be on YouTube and all podcasting platforms, so they can check it out. They'll definitely be able to see the waves in the background. They'll definitely know the story. So, but yeah, man, that's dope. I think that from my journey and kind of like talking about, kind of blending those two types of things together. I love this brand building thing, like everything that you have going on with the website, just the website side of things, and then also your podcast and how you blend it all together. And I didn't even notice this because I don't actually go on LinkedIn too often anymore because like I've been trying to post content on there and all this other stuff. But you put out some good stuff on there too. I've been seeing some posts from you like just like web development tips, tricks, things like that, just to make sure. Like, when did you start doing that? Like, was that a big thing for you, like early on, or what sparked that?
So with LinkedIn, I'd say probably about a year intentionally, the last year, probably 2020. I was on, like, since I started the business, I was on Instagram. The Instagram I had was my personal Instagram, which then I was using to post some business things, which then I was using to post some podcast things.
Right.
And it was like, that's a bit much. That's too much for me. So I've started to create separate accounts for those. But I say that because for the first, whatever it was, 3 years, nothing was real from a business sense. Driving clients was coming from Instagram. And so I really just started a transition, just said, hey, I'm not going to, I liked it. Obviously we all like it, visual, it's great. But I'm like, let me try different avenues. So then I've started to post more and more on LinkedIn, and that's where I focus a lot of my time and energy.
Definitely. Well, I think this is a little bit of an oversimplification probably, but LinkedIn has obviously changed a lot. I think if you haven't been on LinkedIn in a very long time, you probably think that it's just for finding jobs and all that stuff, but it's a legit platform now. They have the feed, they have all that sort of stuff. It's a really good place for B2B, especially, which is the kind of the industry that you're in there with, building websites for other business owners and things like that. So you think you've seen like a pretty decent amount of success and just like Mark, I mean, obviously everything is like digital, digital collateral in a sense. Like, you're just building, I think of it all the time, like with every episode you put out, with every piece of content, it's like just continuously building your credibility in whatever niche you're in. But like, have you actually seen like some good returns on some of the LinkedIn things that you've done?
Yeah, to me, it's all about the consistency
Definitely.
and being that authority in the space, whatever space that might be. So it's that's like my main focus, is just trying to be more consistent with the content. Obviously the podcast, I'm coming out weekly, but to be able to put out the tips and tricks and helpful posts weekly, or multiple times a week, would be ideal.
Right.
And something else I've heard too is, like, you don't know how many touches somebody needs before they reach out to you. They may see 25 your posts or 25 your podcast episodes, and then the 26th one, for whatever reason, strikes them, and so then they're going to contact you. And even people that I've gotten a lot of comments from people, or feedback from people that like the stuff I post on LinkedIn, but yet they're not actually engaging with the content. So like, again, like, you don't really, sure, you just got 3 likes on that thing, but you really got more than that, because Joe Smith over here and Jane Smith over there aren't actually commenting on it or liking it, but they have seen it and they got value from it. So that's always something you got to keep in mind too, is just because you may not be getting as much engagement as you want, that doesn't mean that the eyeballs aren't there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great point that people always overlook with that. I mean, it's it's nice to have like a high number of likes and followers and things, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that, because I remember I just said this like not too long ago in a podcast or some content or something, where I was like, I post a lot more now and I engage a decent amount, but I remember 2 years ago, I didn't like anything on Instagram. I didn't comment on anything, but I saw a lot of things, like you said. So you're definitely getting value out of that stuff, whether, and you're, other people are getting out of it, you're getting something out of it, regardless of if you see the metrics. So definitely something to keep. Obviously we're numbers guys, I'm sure, with analytics and things like that, but there is more to the story, definitely there. So,
One thing too, I would say is,
yeah.
I know you're big on this,
Yeah.
is really keeping that consistent look and feel. So like, I want somebody to come to the website, to see something on LinkedIn, to see something on Instagram from the business that I'm talking about, or podcast, whatever. And it's just a very consistent look and feel, versus it just being a mishmash of things. And that doesn't, to me, that doesn't build confidence. So that's something that actually, as of right now, as of this recording, you are the only follower, and you're my only person I'm following on Instagram for the business account.
Nice.
I mean, I'm kind of just sitting there at the moment, because I want to be able to create a bunch of content. Maybe I'm a perfectionist, but I want to have that crisp, consistent look. And
Yeah.
I'm big about batching too. So like being able, hey, okay, I got 10 things I can put out. And then over the course of a few weeks versus having to do it, the day of.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, there's so many questions here. I was gonna ask you this question because like you said, you're starting to divide everything up, and I was just looking at it before we went on here, that you have Instagram, you have for your podcast, you have it for yourself, you're doing one for the business, like you got LinkedIn, you have your content on your website, you're building websites. Do you do everything yourself currently? Like, I was specifically talking about the social media, but like again, this is somewhat of a question related to the things that I'm doing, but I think so many people go through this when they're starting out. It's like, when do you draw the line that says, okay, I am doing basically the maximum that I can. I need to start buying back some of my time with help to either, like whoever it is, somebody to manage the social media, or somebody to do this, that, or the other thing for the website side of things, or whatever. And I've tried to do that like digitally as much as I can, but nobody is really, I haven't gotten more people yet. So like, what's kind of your work breakdown, time management, that kind of stuff?
I would say that the time that you want to look to outsource is when it's affecting the amount of work, actual billable work or
Hmm.
clients that you can service.
Hmm.
So if you don't have a lot of clients, you're still trying to work to build that up, then do as much as you can by yourself. And just, if you have to work crazy hours, and you do it to make ends meet at that particular time. And then once you're able to grow it, then you can put some money aside to pay somebody to do social media or to do certain things that are taking up more of your time. To me,
Hmm.
it's hard to answer because it's very personalized. So like
Hmm.
I have somebody doing the podcast, Instagram. Otherwise, I'm pretty much doing I'm doing the LinkedIn stuff, the Instagram for the business I'll do.
Hmm.
But it really comes down to whatever that personal preference and that personal line is. I know that me being a perfectionist, it's hard for me to delegate in a way.
Yep.
There's certain things that it's like I know exactly what I'm looking for, so I'd rather just do it so I know that it's done right the first time
Hmm.
versus having somebody do it incorrectly for me to then go back and tell them what to change. And then, well, then what was the point? I might as well just do it.
Hmm.
That's just kind of a waste. So that's something that I've learned over time is it is hard for me to delegate in certain instances, but I also think that there obviously is value to it. And I think I'm kind of in that middle point too. I have enough work keeping me busy, keeping the lights on, but yet not so much that I can't attend to the social media and some other things.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a struggle for me specifically, because trying to think about when that time to pull like the trigger in a sense is to get more people on board, or to like pay for outsourcing and all that sort of stuff, and just find more help. And I've been thinking about it, like, for instance, if I tomorrow wanted to outsource part of the podcast editing, or part of the website design thing, I was like, how would I do that? And I was thinking maybe one way is to do it myself one time. If it's a new thing, like do it one time, or do it like exactly how I want it done one time, and then go to somebody that's like, let's say a video editor for instance, and say, hey, this is what I have right now. This is the baseline. This is what I definitely want it to look like. If you can make it better, then go ahead and make it better. But this is what I want it to be. I think that might help, and that might help alleviate, because I'm the same way. It's like, I don't want to hand things off unless I know that they're going to be done to the level in which I, kind of want them to be done. So that is definitely a thing. But that's the one technique that I thought of. I was like, maybe I should just like provide an example and then see if they can kind of recreate that type of a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea for
Yeah.
me too, to give everybody context on how I work. All the web stuff right now, I'm doing it all myself. So,
Mm-hmm.
going in a couple months, I'm talking about from like an ongoing management, I could pay somebody for, a fifth of what I would charge to do all the different updates, backend updates, security and support and all that kind of stuff. But I love it so much that I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's going to get to a point where it's just too much. And, I'm noticing that, okay, now I'm getting updates. Clients are coming to me for, different updates on their sites periodically. And that's just becoming more of a thing. It's taking up more of my time. from, okay, I got these 3 websites I'm designing. Well, now I have these 5 that are looking to do this update and that update just randomly throughout the day, throughout the week. And that obviously wasn't a thing a year ago because I had less clients. So when the clients were coming to me ad hoc, maybe it was a couple times a month. Well, now it's a couple times a week. It all just varies, obviously. But I just wanted to say, like, right now I'm doing it, but the way that I see it in the future would be I would specifically handle the website design. That's I love doing that. The sun can go up, the sun can go down. I wouldn't know about it. I'm just in flow and just going at it. And then the ongoing management, I would pay somebody probably hourly or maybe a monthly retainer to manage all that for my clients. And I see it as just like one point person that I'm working with to do all that so that we be able to keep that personalized feel with my clients. But then obviously it's taking time and energy off of my shoulders.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, that's scaling, I guess, and I don't know. It kind of harkens back to like businesses as they get bigger, like we were talking about earlier with the whole branding and everything like that. I try to do my best to take the things that are having success or seem like they're having success with these bigger brands, like much bigger brands, obviously like Apple, Amazon, those places. When you see that consistency that we talked about in the branding, you see obviously scaling, you see people that are doing all sorts of different jobs because obviously at that level it's a totally different landscape. Obviously that maybe small business owners don't even have the goal to get to that point, but the idea is that you gotta, if you want to grow and you want to continue to do the things you like, but also have some time to, like just in life really too. Like, I mean, especially I think about this too, as you continue to scale, you're going to have, and you continue to get older, right? Maybe you want to start a family, you want to do this, that, the other thing. You need to have some more time, right? So maybe you and I right now, we would love to just build websites all day, but at some point that might not be that might not be the case. We might not be able to do that. So you gotta try to buy back some of that over time, I guess, if you want to continue to grow, but also have that freedom. But
No, that's a great point. Like to tell people that it's not entrepreneurship that I'm doing. Like I don't think of myself as an entrepreneur. I don't.
mhm,
Other people can say that, but I don't think of myself in those terms.
mhm,
To me, all it really is just creating the lifestyle that I want. So
mhm,
it's not creating a business. It's not just I love what I do, so I'm going to create this business around it. It's I love what I do, so I'm going to create this business around it that then allows me to live the lifestyle that I want to live. That to
mhm,
me is the crux of the whole thing.
mhm.
And I feel like if everybody could do that, we'd be living in a different world because everybody would be so into what they're doing. We hear all the horror stories, where people are living for the weekends and they dread the Mondays, the
Mhm.
Tuesdays, the Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, and I can't get along with that way of thinking.
Yeah, certainly, man. I don't know why people. I mean, it's a tough spot. Everybody's in a different position, but like you said, with website design, and you love it, you do it all the time. That's one of those things where I don't understand why more people don't think that way. Like just try to find something that you enjoy, try different things, whether it's website design or art or this, that, or the other thing, and just stick with it. I mean, you might have to obviously have a job that is in a similar or related industry or even not at all for a period of time. But that's the thing, and that's one of the reasons that I started this show, not just to talk to other cool people with cool stuff going on, businesses and stuff like that, but just in general. I mean, the name of the show is Fueled by Progress, and like we want to continue to move forward, we want to continue to get better, and I feel that is one of the ways throughout life. If you have that exact mindset that you just laid out there, I want to build something or I want to be a part of something that's going to afford me the lifestyle that I want to lead. That just sounds like a hell of a great life, and I don't know why more people don't. I'm trying to get more people to see it that way, I guess, but it's tough.
So I'm telling you this, we're recording this on February 17th of 2021.
Hmm.
So we can replay this, 50 years back.
Yeah,
The word retire is not in my vocabulary.
mine neither.
I will not retire.
Mhm.
I will be able to be really selective. I can take on higher paying jobs, less clients, because the ones that I take on higher value, higher cost, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So I can be more picky, but I won't retire. So I just want to say that, get that out into existence.
yeah,
It's just not in my vocabulary.
definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna echo it too, because as soon as I left like a 9 to 5 salaried job or whatever, I was like, if I'm starting my own thing, this is what I want to do, and I really have loved it so far, and it's so much more fulfilling, and exactly how we've just been saying, you don't want to stop. Like I don't see that at all. I like retirement to me was always kind of an ugly thing, because it's like, what, you're working so hard for all those years, and then you get to that point and you're like, oh, well, now I just, I worked so hard, and now I don't have my youth anymore. Maybe I have some money, maybe, but what are you going to do? Like, I'm not saying your life is over at like 60 or whatever, but at the same time, live your life when you're young. And that doesn't mean just like go out and do random stupid stuff. That means like try to build something or try to do things that you love. And I don't know. That's just, but I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is absolutely not something that I'm looking forward to or ever going to do. Because I just want to continue to do the things that I want to for eternity, we'll say. Yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, man. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. I mean, uh, do you ever think about, again, I guess we kind of just thought about it there a little bit, like almost like the psychology of, I know you're into like fitness, and you're into kind of like, I would assume, are you, okay, so let's back up. You're into fitness. Are you into other things, like just kind of like mental well-being and things like that? Like what's, and another question, this is totally unrelated, but I'm gonna throw it in there. You can answer as much of it as you want. What's like a typical day for you? So I know that you're working on websites and things like that, but like, are you doing other things throughout the day to make sure that you're, you know, healthy, and just like, these other aspects of life that aren't just related to business per se?
So one of the things that I decided to do when I started the business was get a personal trainer.
Mm,
And I said, I don't want to, be working 16 hours a day, growing this business, and in 3, 5 years or whatever it is, now I've gained 50 pounds because I am just working and not taking care of myself. So
definitely.
to me, the accountability of that's really powerful.
Mhm.
Everybody has their different reasons for maybe wanting a personal trainer, like how it would work best for them. But from my standpoint, it's the accountability. I'm really self-driven, self-motivated, but having somebody just to check up on and keep me on track has been helpful, and I really helpful. And I wouldn't have known that, going into it.
Mhm.
It was just more so the fact of I didn't want to think about it. Just give me the workouts, I'll do it, and we're good. I think about that a lot in life. I really just like being an expert in what I'm an expert in. And if I don't like, and I'm not into cars. I don't like cars at all.
Mhm.
As long as it gets me from point A to point B, I'm good. And so if something happens to my car, I'm taking it in to get fixed. I'm not going to
Mhm.
mess with it. I'm not going to have my neighbor mess with it. Just,
Yeah.
just take it in and let the experts do it. And that's really just how I view life in a really broad sense.
Mhm.
I would say on the personal side, leading up to starting my own business, I really got into just the self-discovery and just figuring out myself on a deep level, why I enjoy doing the things I do, or why I don't enjoy doing this, but everybody else seems to, why society says we have to do this, but I'm not really into that, whatever it might be, just really getting deep on what I enjoy, what fulfills me, and just going hard at that. So I'm a big Seattle Seahawks fan. Russell Wilson always talks about block out the noise,
Mhm.
and kind of put your blinders on, and really, really focus on you. Just do you. And so that's really what I would recommend on that side, and what I try to do. And yeah, hopefully that's helpful.
Definitely. No, yeah. I mean, you hit on some great points there. I think the one big one is definitely self-awareness, and I'm happy to hear that that was something that you decided to implement from an early stages, especially as you were starting the business. The personal training thing and the fitness like hits home for me too. I'm relatively active, play some ball hockey and things like that. But that is something that I've kind of been somewhat considering. Not like seriously, but like when you not like super like plan it out and everything, but when you gave your perspective on that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because it's just the accountability, like for things that, I don't need to be accountable necessarily to do the work that I need to do, right? To do the web design stuff and to do this, that, and the other thing, put out content, because I really enjoy that. But when going to the gym and like eating healthy is just kind of like a hands off laissez-faire type of thing. It's just like you're kind of going through the motions. I think that something like that, implementing a personal trainer or some sort of accountability like that, could be a really big added bonus. And I'm happy to hear it's going well for you. I might have to do something similar there.
And I just thought of something. I'll ask your audience a question here.
Yeah.
If they had 500 more, dollars of disposable income in a month, $1,000, whatever it might be, if they had some chunk of change, what would they use that for?
Hmm.
And for me, it would be a personal chef, because I don't want to worry about ever cooking.
Definitely.
So like, it's really that time, honestly too, like, why can't we just get like, and I hate shots, but why can't we just get an IV in our arm to give us all the macro nutrients we need? And then we don't have to worry about eating.
Yeah.
Now, I would say I do like to eat as well,
Yeah.
but the majority of the time, I'd rather just freaking hook me up, put that IV in, and let me just get to work. And
Yeah.
then think about how much time we'd save. Some people are gonna think I'm crazy, but I've had that thought.
Well, I think you're efficient. I think that's what that says. I mean, it might be crazy in a sense because it's not normal, but when you look at it logically, specifically the food type of thing, I'm from like an Italian family, bread and like, all this other stuff, pasta, stuff like that, just like a lot of carbs. And that's how I was brought up. And I was actually like this is a side story, but I tell it all the time. I was actually like a fat kid, like a chubby kid, and I've kind of slimmed out slightly, but still like those things, I still eat like a little fat kid. I just maybe move a little bit more, right? So it's like, it's kind of funny because I've thought about that all the time. It's like, I enjoy food. I enjoy tasty food and, food that might not be great for you. But at the same time, if I had some way to just block out all that, and I hadn't thought of it like an actual IV, but that's a great idea. Like some sort of thing where it's like food is supposed to be for fuel. We've changed so much as just, I guess, humans over time. I'm not a history expert, but at one point we weren't eating food because it tasted good. We were eating food to stay alive, So it's like, I wish we could kind of go back to that a little bit because I think everybody would be a lot healthier. And I know when you're not worrying about certain things, you definitely become a lot more efficient. I think the same way about just even the stuff in my room. I've become so much more minimal. Like I don't want the junk. Like I got, the computer and the setup here and everything like that, but everything's functional. Everything has a purpose. And I think that when you can do that, with your body, your mind, and then even your space around you, that is something that's huge. Cause I just feel like it's so much less stressful. You don't have to think about as much stuff. And then you can just focus on the things you want to think about.
I just wrote that down. Purpose and efficiency. That
Yeah.
to me, that's the name of the game. And you can
That's
apply
it.
that to any and every aspect of your life, your business, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, it's just crazy. It's crazy to see that sort of stuff. It's crazy when you do implement it. And I want to hit on this real quick because I think this is another important point. What you said, people might think you're crazy. There's a lot of shit I'm starting to realize that when you go through life and you make a decision or you make like a choice, right? To maybe quit your job and start your own business, or you say, I'm going to throw out a lot of my stuff because I don't need it. But you've been in an environment where those are very counterintuitive to the environment. You get a lot of pushback from people, because that is exactly what happened to me. And maybe your story is kind of similar in certain ways, but like, and I want to kick it over to you in a sec to like kind of, obviously give that side of it. But for me, at least, I was raised a certain way in, all those different areas. And then I went out and I saw a bunch of different influences on YouTube and just like online and different things like that. And like, this is an interesting way to think about it. Start your own business, do things you like, this, that, or the other thing. And then I started to implement them and people were like, what the hell are you doing? Cause like, it's so foreign to them. And then you get to that point, it's like, well, no, my life is way better now that I have less stuff in my room, as silly as that sounds, and that I'm doing things that I enjoy on a regular day basis. I'm sleeping enough. I'm, maybe working out. I'm trying to eat better, like those types of things. And the point that I was trying to make is really just like, don't let that just really block out that noise. Like you said, like Russell Wilson says, like, don't let those other forces affect you when you feel that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I've had people tell me, after going out on my own, hey, I'm really proud of you, or, I can never do what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And it's nice to hear those things, but to me, I just don't know any different. This is what feels totally right to me. So I'm rolling with it. My parents were super supportive always, like my entire life. So blessed with that. But just in general, it's just really a matter of like before, just, doing you, being you, figuring out yourself on a deep level and just going at it 150%. I'm super decisive. I've realized that about myself. I've been with people that aren't, and I've realized how, that's like magnets, attracting or not, like it, just repelling, when I see that like drastic difference. I really didn't know that about myself, but like when I see something, it's like, okay, yeah, I want that. And then I go at it. I'm not one to, oh, let me look at like 50 countertop designs or,
Yeah.
talking about like home remodeling stuff. It's just like when I see it and I know it, boom, that's it. Let's go. And I would say as the years go by, I'm realizing that more and more in really every aspect of my life.
Definitely. Yeah. Would you say, I want to harken back to something. Would you say that you're more of a specialist then? Like you're focused on your craft and you don't really like how much of a, cause I don't know if I'm super similar or like slightly different as related to you in this, because like I like to understand things. Like I'm just genuinely curious about a lot of things and generally overall, right? So I like to understand things, but I do realize at the same time that there's no way that you could understand everything about like development and then also maybe like, electrical engineering and then this, that, and the other thing. But at the same time, I do think there's a decent amount of, value you can get and good, just like benefit you can have from understanding a little bit about things. Because like let's use the car as an example. Like I understand that like totally I don't want to mess with my car, but if I can understand a little bit about some of the stuff maybe, then I can realize just enough to realize that maybe like you're not getting bamboozled in a way on certain things. Maybe the car is a bad example, but you understand what I'm saying. Like where do you kind of stand on that? Are you pretty stoic? It's like I'm just going to let them handle it, or do you actually try to like learn slightly different niches like once in a while, or just enough in those things?
I think I let the experts handle what they're an expert in.
Yeah.
I would say that throughout life, I'll pick up different things and I'll go all in. To me, it's 0 to 150. Like there's no in between to me.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of years ago, I picked up tennis. It was something that I wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
and watched it for a long time and said, one summer, like, hey, you know what? I want to play it. And obviously in Wisconsin, we have about, 2 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Being sarcastic there, but would be better be in Florida. But
Yeah.
point being, it was just something that I wanted to do. And so I said, hey, I'm going to do it. And then like, as I'm doing it, it's like, well, hey, is this racket really like the best racket? Or, should I get something different? And so it just sort of like, it's a trickle down effect. But I would say I'm very particular in that I'm just super intentional with my time and energy. So if it's something I'm passionate about, I'm all in. If not, then I'm not. And it's really kind of black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nah, I feel you there because I'm kind of I'm kind of the similar way. Like if I am doing something, I kind of do want to do it. Um, yeah, it's a tough one. I'm probably a little bit more, probably a little bit more in the middle. But yeah, I totally understand what you're like, especially like the racket thing. It's like, if I'm going to be doing this, I should have the proper equipment, right? If I'm going to be streaming video, if I'm going to be making content, like I want to have something that's legit enough to get me to at least, not like the top tier, but something that's, at least respectable. So I do totally understand where you're coming from there. So just
the amount of podcast microphones I tried before landing on the ones that I have. Yeah. Very, very similar.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that. So, well, man, we're getting close to time here, but I want to hit you with these last, final three. So we'll run them by you here. We ask everybody on the show as this final segment, because I really think that it kind of ties everything together. Most of the time we talk a little bit about them throughout the show, and I think we have hit on a couple here, but just all in one place, because I randomly came up with these questions one day, and I think they're pretty insightful. So the first question is, who are your top 3 influences, would you say, that have molded you into the person you are today? So they could be people in your life. They could be people that you've never met, like any sort of thing, just like even bodies of people. Top 3 influences might be tough to narrow down, but what would you say?
I'd say number 1, my parents for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said before, just instilling the supportive, loving nature from day one that never wavered. So very consistent. And that's how I live my life. I try not to get too high, too low, just super consistent, even keel. 2, I would say Pete Carroll, head coach of Seattle Seahawks, or at least as of this recording.
Yeah.
I'm very intuitive. So I usually can pick up pretty well if somebody is genuine and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know him. I've never met him, but he seems to me to be super genuine and authentic. He's always himself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about it. He chews, 50,000 wads of gum, 5,000 miles a minute. On the sideline, some people that annoys him, but he's just super high energy. He's the oldest coach in the NFL, and you wouldn't know it by the way that he acts. He
Mm-hmm.
loves what he does.
Yeah.
Passionate about it. 3, I would say Brendan Burchard, High Performance Habits is one of his books. That's one of my favorite reads. And Again, he's probably pretty high energy as well, but just love learning on the high performance side, and different tips and tricks. Like one of them was just how much high performers schedule out their day. So like he would say, I can know by looking at their calendar how intentional they are. I always thought that was interesting, but that just one tidbit from that book. I would say those are probably three for
Gotcha.
sure.
Gotcha. Good stuff, man. Yeah. Okay. So the second one is, it's kind of similar in a way. And maybe we've talked about some of it. Is what is your best like advice? Like, just somebody comes up to you that says, "Hey, CT, what would you like? You have a bunch of followers in your network and things like that, and like just the things that you've learned. If you can kind of sum it up, what's your best advice that you would give to somebody?"
I would say somebody, a young entrepreneur, or they're in college or maybe high school, whatever, they don't know exactly what direction they want to go or where they want to go. I always say figure out what you would do for free, and then follow that path, and somehow you can make money out of it. I mean, you can make money out of anything. So
Mm-hmm.
if you like the Smurfs, like I know Gary Vee always like uses that as an
Yeah.
example, like I don't care, you like Smurfs, you like Barbies, you like
Mm-hmm.
whatever you like, go at it 100 miles an hour, and you can make some kind of business come off of that, if that's the direction you want to go. There's people out there that they work 9 to 5s and they love that and that works for them. So I'm not saying entrepreneurship is the only way,
Mm-hmm.
but I think really figuring out, tasting, experiencing, figuring out what you enjoy, what fulfills you, what you're passionate about, all of that wrapped into one. It really is just, it's a life lesson thing, in the sense of like the older you get, the more life experience you have, the easier it is to know those things. But the more you experience, I think the earlier on you can tell that.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with that. I think that doing something you love can always generate money, but like money in and of itself, like chasing money doesn't necessarily, you know, guarantee happiness by any stretch. So I think money makes some people happy certain ways, but yeah, I definitely agree that find something that you enjoy and that you love and you could do for free, like you said, and then just just figure out a way to generate some money. It's the time we live in is so amazing because you can do that. So take advantage of it. I guess
I've
that's
heard that when you get more money, it just makes your personality come out. Like it shows who you really are. Like if you
mhm.
suck with money,
Yeah,
getting more money isn't going to do anything. It's just going to make you suck more with money. Like,
definitely.
so yeah, money is definitely not everything for sure. And it's not going to bring anybody any happiness aside from, the crazy pictures that you'll see on Instagram or Facebook and ads that way, but it's definitely not.
Yeah, I've also heard that there's like kind of a a line. I think it's like $70,000 to $100,000. Like once you pass those types of things, or a certain amount of money where it 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 doesn't really get any better from there necessarily. It just continues. Like that's like the peak of wealth in a sense. Like obviously you could have $1 billion, but your life, the quality of life doesn't really go up as long as you have enough. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe there's people out there that want to be billionaires. That's cool. That'd be great. Obviously, I guess everybody would want to be one, but ultimately, if you can just make enough money to survive and have security and just, have a, provide for your family and stuff like that, I think that's the dream, doing something that you love. And that's where we're headed. So
1,000%.
that's it. Okay, man. Last one is a layup. It's just plug the stuff you got going on, because every time I'm very appreciative for everybody that, sits down and has a chat with me on here. So I want to make sure that anybody listening, if they're interested in anything you got going on, they can go follow you. And please, I urge everyone to go follow CT. He's a great dude. But yeah, just red carpet here, man.
Yeah. So website, ctkaupp.com, podcast, ctkaupp.com/podcast,
Mhm.
and search for me on LinkedIn. Those probably be the best three spots to find me. Feel free to reach out. And just like Mark and I did, happy to chat anytime.
Yep. That's it. That's it, guys. Well, I appreciate it, CT. Thank you so much, man. Greatly appreciate it. As always, links and everything are like down in the description there, as we said. So please go check out CT stuff. Go follow him. If you have any questions for him, chat him up. He's a great dude. Obviously, he's more than willing to chat. But that's it. So we thank you guys so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Fueled by Progress with my guest, CT Kaupp. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.